Good evening and welcome to a special supplementary extra edition of the Shelfside Spurs podcast. With games coming thick and fast, we thought we'd better get the Wolves game out of our systems while it's fresh in our memory with another game against Villa at home tomorrow, the last home game of the season. Rather than having us darting around all over the place trying to remember two games because we're all too old to be doing that kind of thing, aren't we? Our memories don't stack up that well, so we thought we'd do a supplementary one today ahead of the game tomorrow. First of all, as I always like to do, Spurs on this day in history. It's another good one. So 2 weeks ago we had the anniversary for the 1961 double. Last week we had the 81 cup final, and actually today on this date in 1991 it was the FA Cup final when Gazza got stretchered off injured. So Saturday, the 18th of May, 1991, Terry Venables' Spurs beat Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest at Wembley in a thrilling FA Cup final that also sees a wound-up Paul Gascoigne stretchered off after lunging into a challenge. To make things worse, the subsequent free kick was dispatched by Stuart Pearce to give Forest the lead, but the match was far from over. Spurs rallied with Gary Lineker having a perfectly good goal disallowed before Paul Stewart scored a legitimate goal that forced extra time. On this occasion, an own goal worked in our favour, however, as Des Walker diverted the ball into his own net, albeit under pressure from Gary Mabbutt, to give Tottenham the trophy. Last time we won the FA Cup as well, would you believe, boys? What's that, 30 years ago? 30 years ago today. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I was young and pretty.
When you had hair still, when you were still
3 months before I was even born.
Davos wasn't born. Jens still had hair. And Gazza wasn't grey. Jesus. And I was still short ass. Jens, you said you've got a bonus stat for us on this day. What happened 4 years ago on this day?
Yeah, 4 years ago we beat Leicester 6-1 with a wing-back pairing of Davis and Sissoko. Harry Kane got 4. Philip Lesniak made his debut and assisted one of Kane's goals, and then we released him about 5 weeks later. So yeah. now he's in Slovakia or Slovenia. Exactly.
Yeah. He obviously impressed us, didn't he? Was that at Wembley, Jens? Was it?
No, that was at Leicester. Yeah.
Oh, at Leicester. Yeah, I think they were wearing this shirt actually, weren't we? I remember Kane scoring 4 in this one. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That was very well planned.
I was sat in a bar in Porto Gran Canaria. What a night that was! That was the only Spurs fan in there. The rest of them were supporting Leicester. Most of them left after the 4th goal. It was hilarious.
It was good to put him to the
next game Hulls when we beat them 7-1. Then we beat Hull 7-1 the following game.
That's when Harry was after the goal last time, wasn't it? Yeah, that was almost planned, Jens. I was wearing this top, but it wasn't. It's fate. It's fate.
ESP, mate. ESP.
Yeah, one of those. Something like that. Isn't that a TV channel in America?
Extrasensory perception.
Yeah. All the way from Holland. Yes. Did you see the We Are Tottenham have got an interview with Martin Yole? They aired a little clip of it today. Yeah, and I think there's a few more. There's another clip out tonight, and then the full thing's out tomorrow. They sort of said to
the manager, aren't they?
Yeah, they said to him jokingly, Martin, what about you coming back? And he thought he was getting all serious. He's like, "Oh, I'm too old for all that now." I think didn't he say he still got a house in North London, though, Davos? I'm sure he did in the interview.
Oh, was he?
Kept his house.
I haven't actually seen it. I saw the
old
advert. That was all.
Right, enough about the past. Let's talk about the present. And so the game most fresh in our memories, hopefully, as you can see along the ticker on the bottom there, Tottenham 2 and Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. We'll go to you first, Gazza. Thoughts on the lineup ahead of the game? You got some Tanganga in for Aurier, Dyer retaining his shirt after the Leeds shambles, no Rodon again, Dele keeping the number 10 shirt, Lo Celso holding off and Ndombele again in midfield. What did you think of the lineup ahead of the game, Gaz?
Thought it was great that Tanganga started, albeit because of injury, as it turns out. But yeah, I thought he had a great game. Came in, did a solid job, made that right back berth a little bit more steady, I think, than what we've been used to recently. No other surprises. It was straightforward, steady side again. I don't understand why Joe Rodden can't even get in the squad, let alone start.
Somebody said on
baffles me.
a feed the other day, maybe it's because he's got like an appearance bonus. Levy's got to pay Swansea some more money if he pays a certain amount of
I
games,
wouldn't
over
put that
15
past
games.
Mr. Levy.
Because he's not even for him to not even get in the squad. I looked it up, he's played 11 games. So if he's been dropped for pretty much all the squads, maybe it's 15 games that the cut-off point or something. But
there's
surely,
nothing on the line for the club, then you can
Yeah.
fully see that happening, can't you?
he'd probably run it up to 14 maybe, and then take him out. But I suppose it goes with our theory that he's given Dyer and Aurier and people like that game time to flog him, and to give them first team minutes to show that they're first team regulars. Jens, Dele Alli keeping that number 10
didn't
shirt
really offer
again.
anything up in regards of very.
No, not really. No, not to test him out. Jens. So Dele kept the number 10 shirt 3 games in a row, and he kind of repaid our faith in him, didn't he? With a much stronger game, he looked fitter and sharper, didn't he? And back to the good old Dele.
Yeah, I thought he played well, it seems that he is edging back to the Dele Alli that we know and love, or some people know and hate. But his flicks and tricks don't always come off, but when they do, it's special to watch him, isn't it? He's a special talent. I think when he puts his mind to it and he gets his head down in training, he's a great player. On the other hand,
Sorry, I was just going to say he's got an eye for passes that other players in our squad don't seem to have as well. Simple ones where you got runners off the ball where Kane's running through and he seems to be able to see the little simple slotted passes between defenders, which we often miss. I find it, especially since Christian Eriksen left.
He seems to have that in his locker, and the way that he nuts his people all the time. He's definitely got a different way of seeing the game, hasn't he, and approaching little passes and little skills and stuff. He obviously watches the bloke's legs and stuff, so watches their ankles. I heard Messi say once that when he dribbles, he watches the opposition's ankles to see what they're going before he does his skills and stuff. But that's mad, isn't it? Most people just concentrate on the ball.
Trying to stay on their own feet, I think, most of the time when I'm dribbling.
Stay on your own feet, control the ball. But Messi's apparently looking at their feet and their ankles to see how he can skin them and make them look like a mug. Let's bring you in then, Davos. Lo Celso. I watched the game with you, obviously, and we thought he had a good start to the game, particularly the first hour before he got hauled off. I think 65 minutes, 65 minutes, but he definitely had a strong first hour, didn't he? I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was probably his best match since he came back actually from the injuries. I thought he has been struggling. So you said Lo Celso holds off Ndombele in midfield. It's a controversial topic, I guess, amongst Tottenham fans at the moment. Tonga Ndombele probably being one of our better performers over the course of the season, I'd say. Obviously, since Ryan Mason's come in, he's had pretty much 0 game time. Is that saying something for what's going to happen in the summer? I'd probably say I hope so, to be honest with you. If we're going to have an overhaul of the squad, then we're going to have to lose a big player. I'd probably say if we can get a good price for Ndombele, that would be the man that I'd be looking at.
Jens, how do you think Lo Celso played? Because I know he can split opinion in the fan base.
Yeah, I thought he definitely looked better than he has done. What we mentioned, was it last week or the week before, when he ran that ball out for a throw-in? I just thought, what are you doing, mate? Mm-hmm. I thought he tackled well. Still not back to what we saw before. Was it before lockdown or when he was basically running the midfield? And looked really special. But I'm hoping that he can get back to that. But Ndombele, don't you think if they wanted to shift him, then they put him in the shop window?
Yeah,
so
potentially. Unless they're trying to shield him from getting injured, maybe.
One. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, because, you try and put him in a shop window, he's on the pitch for 25 seconds. He looks like he needs a lie down. So,
the valuation would go down by 10 mil, wouldn't it? Gaz, how do you think Lo Celso did? He's frozen there. He's either lost in
thought he was
pensive
steady.
thought or he's frozen. Oh, he's back. He's back. Go on, Gaz.
Can you hear me all right?
We can
Yeah.
indeed, yeah.
I thought he had a steady game. No errors, pretty steady. I would have given him probably a 6 out of 10 easily, maybe possibly 7.
I think that unicorn growing out the side of your head's giving you ideas, isn't it?
It's a zebra.
It's a zebra, is it? Okay. Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
So I put up some match talking points. First of all, if we go through them, Harry Kane's goal, Dovers, if you want to take that one.
Typical Harry Kane, really, isn't it? Cool under pressure. Most players take that shot as the defender slides across. He reads exactly what a defender, what a keeper's going to do all day long, doesn't he? He's so good at that. Just exactly what Harry Kane does and will always do. And obviously goes to show the big miss that he will be if we do ever lose the guy.
Yeah, it's good, wasn't it? The way he just had that quick look over his shoulder when he saw Cody coming, saw him dive in and just waited for him to commit himself. Then cheerio round him. Yeah, man of the match, Connor Cody. I looked up on the BBC website afterwards because they do a watch along with fans and they give an average match rating. Connor Cody was 7th from the Wolves and the Tottenham fans on the man of the match. There was like 5 Tottenham players. 5 Tottenham players, him, and then I think Harry Kane was 7th. So it just goes to show what Gary Neville was obviously smoking some kind of special ganja, wasn't he? Because I don't understand what. I think someone said he's their mate, and they hang around with him, Neville and Carragher, so they just want to get him on that England bus or England plane, don't they, for the Euros? I suppose it would be a bus actually because it's in England, isn't it? So they don't need to get him on the plane. Yeah. Dele Alli continued to look sharper. Gaz, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, it comes down to game time, though, doesn't it? I think they all keep saying he trains hard and trains really well, but you can't beat a bit of actual game time itself.
Match fitness,
and against other sides, and match fitness. And
you'd have thought he feels freer to do the bits that he does as well. You know, the sort of flicks and tricks. That's never going to be possible under Jose Mourinho, is it? If you try one of them, it doesn't come off. You know you're going to get lambasted at half time. Yeah,
it was that game earlier in the season when he tried that flick on the halfway line, and then it did go all the way through to the keeper, did it? And then I think 28 passes later, they scored, and Mourinho still blamed him for losing the ball with the flick, didn't he? Lo Celso's much improved. We discussed that one already. So Jens, I'll give you Tanganga's impressive performance. And I say it's no coincidence that there was no Aurier and we actually kept a clean sheet, hey?
Yeah, I thought he played well. There were a few moments when I think he went in a little bit too quickly and a little bit too hard and lost the ball. But overall, he's got more about him than Aurier. Or sorry, I shouldn't really say that. He seems to have more of a footballing brain than Aurier. He seems pretty cool. He doesn't. You know, he seems quite clever with his fouls. He won't go through someone if they're sort of on the edge of the penalty area like Aurier does far too many times. I think with more playing time, hopefully this season and next season, I think we could see him being a regular member of our defence.
Do you think?
Yeah,
I can't. I like Tanganga. I can't ever see him being more than a second choice right back. I don't think he's got the physical qualities that you need to have from a fullback these days. Look at the pace that you need that all the best fullbacks in the game have at the moment. Look at the attacking qualities they have. They got to have.
Like Ben Davis.
Well, Ben Davis exactly squad player, isn't he? I see him as the Ben Davis of our right back role.
Yeah.
How can he be? Can he be our first choice? I really don't think so. If he is, then I don't think we've got the right ambitions.
Don't you think he could also play centre back though?
That might work against him, Jens, because he's not really considered as a right back, is he? And he's not being considered as a centre back. So it's kind of a bit of jack of all trades and master of none. It's kind of working against him. His versatility is working against him. From one full back to another, then Reguilon was back to his best, flying down that left hand side. Gaz, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, he did great for the second goal for Højbjerg's goal. Just didn't give up, did he? He kept fighting. That's all we want to see, really, across the whole side, is players who want to fight and battle for stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want people giving up and look what happened. Carrying on battling, got a goal.
Bit of hunger, a bit of desire. Yeah.
Great bit of play, that, wasn't
absolutely.
it?
And
he's
actually,
had a
as
few
you said,
rugby
Gaz,
games recently.
Yeah, as you said, that led to the goal from Højbjerg, which is the next talking point on my list for you, Davos. Højbjerg, the poacher.
Desire, isn't it? I think an article somewhere today that the goal was all about desire, and I think that sums it up perfectly. Really, I mean, obviously you've got the Reguilon refusing to quit on the ball, and then Højbjerg obviously bursting out of position, but looking to put himself in the box in the area where you can score goals, and that's so important for a good side, isn't it? If you're gonna score goals in a football team, then you got to have people breaking from midfield. You got to have people putting themselves in the right areas. So yeah, it was impressive from him.
I thought it was Harry Kane, didn't I? When he scored, I said to you, Harry Kane, another one, but it wasn't. And he got absolutely taken out. Then he nailed by the keeper. It's a good job his foot wasn't planted. It was either the defender or the keeper that absolutely wiped him out when he put the ball in. So he'd have had a job to miss from there. But if he had it done, I think we'd have had a penalty. The last talking point for you then, Jens, Connor Cody. We touched on it briefly. I don't know if you know this out in Holland, but Gary Neville gave Connor Cody the man of the match.
I read about it on the internet afterwards, and yeah, he played well, but man of the match, I don't think so.
Can you imagine if Bruno Fernandes had scored a goal and had an assist for Man United and they'd won 2-0 if he'd have given the opposition centre back the man of the match? I don't think so.
He would have given the ball boy man of the match, wouldn't he? I mean, it's just it is, as you say, it's all Sky Sports is just mates, old boys and mates, isn't it? It's they try so desperately. They've got an overwhelming amount of Scousers, United and Gooners on there, and they just try so desperately to put all the rest of the teams down, and it's just a narrative constantly.
You saw it. You probably didn't see this either, Jens, but when Gary Neville was going on his rant about the Super League, he was like, "Oh, the audacity of these teams: Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool." And he goes, Tottenham, I don't even need to worry about Tottenham. They're nothing. He just flicked it aside like that and said,
"Yeah, well,
just shows the disdain he's got for us." But to give him man of the match, like I said on the BBC website, I think he was 6th in the rating. Højbjerg was man of the match. I think Gareth Bale was second. I don't know what they'd been smoking. I didn't understand that one. Yeah. So we've got a couple of comments from someone we all know, Danny Tester. Oi Savaloy. Hello, Dan. You all right?
Showbiz.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah. I was gonna say something about his new vehicle there, but I realised he hasn't told his brothers yet, so I didn't want to ruin the surprise. I probably just have anyway, haven't I? And there's another comment here from who I think's Mark Needham in disguise. Window cleaner required for the Elephant and Castle. If interested, apply to Justin Stevens, which is a bit of an in-joke aimed at Gaza, I think, because we say he looks like the Tottenham blogger Justin Stevens. Danny's saying calm down. I think that's in response to me outing his new vehicle to his family members.
What is it? A Trotters Independent Traders?
I can't possibly say. It's. I'm sure his brothers aren't watching a Spurs podcast, but you never know. You never know. If you could put in the comments section there, Dan, who you thought man of the match was, whether it's Connor Cody or Højbjerg, beggars belief. Dele Alli was up there as well. Yeah, I think Reguilon was third or fourth.
Ryan Mason was talking about Dele Alli, wasn't he? That was his vote for it.
Did he? How he gave it to him? Did he?
Yeah, he was talking about how he was surprised that Dele Alli didn't get it after a good performance.
Yeah, unbelievable, isn't it? Dan says it's an away day bus.
Away day
Is he
bus.
coming to pick me up in the Netherlands then?
He could do.
I think we'd do well to squeeze into it. Let's put it that way.
Miles to the gallon. I think Gaz has gone off to have a look at
He
it.
ended up his head stuck out the sunroof, I think, in that one.
Gaz has gone off to have a look at it now. I think he's left us, hasn't he, completely?
I think
So we'll move on to the next topic of the day, which is questions for the panel. Spurs in the news. First up, we're going to discuss the Supporters Trust meeting with the board today. I haven't seen anything on social media or from official channels from either side yet as to how it went. They might have put something out whilst we've been on this podcast. But any news or thoughts on them taking the meeting?
I haven't heard any news. I think they're probably all far too bloated from all the free hot dogs that Levy's given to them.
Free hot peanuts.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still not 100% sure about the Supporters Trust. They seem to change their mind like they change their underpants. So I don't think. I think there seems to be from hearing on other podcasts about people asking them questions and they don't like the questions, so they block them. It just seems to be an arrogance there.
Absolutely.
And I think they think they're better than us because they're on
absolutely
Trust.
We do. We know a couple of them. They definitely do think like that. They think their farts don't stink. So yeah, they're. You've actually hit the nail on the head there. I don't want to give them too much power, but yeah, I think they blocked me a few years ago when I made a comment about them getting bumped up the list to get away tickets, because I had more points than one of the people that was on the committee there, and they got a Watford ticket and I didn't. So I asked what's going on with that, and I got blocked as well. Got a comment from the Amateur Window Cleaner saying "Evening Stanley Pester." I'm not sure what that means, but. Davers, have you got any thoughts on the Supporters Trust meeting today? Do you think it was wise for them to take the meeting after everything that's gone on so far?
Gaz has just said he's having a lot of technical issues, so he's trying to get back on.
It's that zebra jumping up on his head.
Honest answer, I didn't know it's happening. What were they hoping to achieve from it? What were the goals of the meeting?
That wasn't established. It just said we've agreed to take a meeting on Tuesday, the 18th of May, with senior board members, and that's all they put out a statement, really. But previous to that, they said that they'd met with UEFA and the Premier League and the government. There was all kinds of meetings going on to do with fan-supported, networks and teams having fans on the board and stuff like that. So,
yeah. We'll have to reflect when they've had their meeting. They actually tell us what they were talking about. There's very little to talk about for now. I guess it's all just smoke at the moment.
Yeah, Gazza, any thoughts on the Supporters Trust meeting?
I had a quick look before we came on. There was no updates from them on Twitter, so I don't know.
Are you a member?
What, the Supporters Trust? No.
Yeah. No. What have your experiences with them been like over the years?
Well, they like to block people. If they don't, if someone says something they don't like, they go bang, block. See you later.
It's like communist China, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like being at kindergarten. But I don't know. I get the impression that they've been kind of forced into this situation to have a meeting with the club. So maybe something good will come of it. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
They're manning the protest tomorrow, so we'll see how that pans out.
It looks like a leaflet drop from what they've put out today. They're going to be handing out leaflets, so hopefully it's like exposing some of Levy's biggest misdemeanors on the leaflet and asking them if they want to get involved with the trust and any future protests and stuff. Not a bad idea if that's the way they go about it. They're also making a video, aren't they? I've seen that. They're appealing for people that want to be on a video that they want to send to Levy, expressing people's dissatisfaction with the way the club's been run in recent years and whatnot. So that might be another way to get through to the bold-headed.
It's going to be a long video.
isn't it? Yeah, it'd be like Gladiator, wouldn't it? 3.5 hours. Well, that one. What was that one with Leonardo DiCaprio? About 4 hours, wasn't it? The Revenant, sort of.
I think it'd be
Revenant.
more like a Le Mans 24-hour race.
24/7, just looping of people calling him out. Yeah, it will be a long video for sure. I'll have a job to edit it down. That brings us on seamlessly onto our next topic of discussion, the protests on Saturday and Sunday. Why do you think there was such an apathy in the fan base and that the attendance was a bit lower than we'd hoped? And although we did get some good exposure on Sky Sports News and Stell's been offered an interview with a national newspaper off the back of it as well. Davos, I'll come to you first. Any reason why you think there's apathy?
I think you've still got the issues with the lockdown, with the COVID and everything. I think there's probably still some hesitance of your more family-based sort of fans and things like that. People aren't as keen to get out there. And then I guess you probably have got an element. What are we hoping to achieve from it? What was the goal set out from it? What are we hoping what are we going to achieve by forcing ENIC out? Have we got is there a buyer in place? Who could we actually get in? Is there a clear plan from these protests?
They can't do worse than ENIC, though, Davos, can they? 1 trophy in 20 years. It's a football club at the end of the day. Go on,
Jens. Go on.
Sorry.
No, you crack on.
Come on, Jens. Crack on, Jens.
I think a lot of what Bob was saying on that show you did with him earlier was very, very true. Maybe it shouldn't be ENIC out. It should be ENIC change. Levy needs to stop interfering in transfers. We need a decent director of football who works well with the manager, and also, I'm not expecting us to go out and buy Mbappes and people like that, but to do a bit more scouting. I mean, I go back to Ndombele, that his reputation was that he was lazy, and yet they still splashed 50 million on him. And I think the whole of the footballing side needs to be changed. Let Mr. Levy carry on with his NFL and his what do you call it, Rod Stewart and stuff like that. But the footballing side needs to be kept away from him because
I think that's a really good solution, to be honest. I actually found some really good stats online earlier on Wikipedia. I'll give you. Do you think you guys can name the top five most expensive transfers, and we'll see whether you think they're successful transfers in terms of their money?
Ndombele,
Sanchez,
Lo Celso,
Sissoko.
Lo Celso's not on there, I don't think.
Okay.
No, not at the moment.
Lamela.
Sanchez.
Sanchez is. Yeah, Sanchez is second.
He was ridiculously expensive for them.
£42 million for Sanchez. Eric Lamela, 30. Musa Sissoko, 30. And Steven Bergwijn, 27. They're our top five, followed by Roberto Soldado, Ryan Sessegnon,
blimey.
Yeah, Lucas Moura and Serge Aurier. How many of those? If you're going to say that we've chosen our transfers well, how many of those would you say are success stories?
Good God, do you reckon
Lamela possibly over the course of
yeah. You've had your money's worth out of him, haven't you? But I'm sure there's plenty on the Spurs fan base that would argue that he divides opinion, doesn't he, Lamela?
Yeah, he's Marmite, isn't he?
Yeah. He is. Christ, I wonder how many of those were under Steve Hitchin's reign. Can you quickly have a look at that to see when Steve Hitchin came in? And
was it me, or did I hear that he actually stated that he hates the transfer window?
Yeah.
Yes, he
on
did.
That Amazon documentary.
Yeah.
Why is
that's his job, isn't it? It's like a Tesco. Someone say, "I hate stacking shelves." I'm a Tesco.
I think that's
like a taxi driver saying, "I hate driving." Yeah,
that's a very good point.
That's why Levy liked him, because Levy hates it as well, spending in it anyway.
He's been there a while, apparently, since the mid-2000s, whatever that's supposed to mean.
Has he?
I reckon he was behind a lot of those then. It'd be interesting.
Did he replace Kamoli then?
It says he's played a part in the signings of Luka Modric and Benny Asuakotu. So you're going back to quite a while.
He didn't do too badly then, did he?
We had a comment for you while you were away, Gaza. Danny Test is saying bring back Soldado to replace H. That was another one. I wonder where he was on that list of us. He'd have been quite up there. We spent quite a lot of money on him, didn't we, as well?
Soldado.
He was 7th or 8th.
Oh, he was on there, was he?
He was 6th, yeah, he was, yeah.
Blimey. Okay. So we put it off long enough, so I guess we've got to talk about this. Dan Test has done a good job of leading us into this one. The Harry Kane news. Any smoke without fire. Jens, what did you think when you heard the reports coming out yesterday from Sky Sport, albeit it was Sky Sports News and not really official channels?
Yeah, all I kept hearing was there's no quotes, which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I've also thought, well, can't say we didn't expect it. He said he wanted us to improve. He said he wanted us to win some trophies. He wanted to see the club moving forward. And he must have been chuffed when Mourinho came in. He thought, here we go. We've got a very successful manager. And that all went to pot. And then the ESL thing came out. And I'm not surprised that I'd say he's impatient and he's not happy. And the way that it's looking at the moment I can't see us winning anything for the next 30 years.
We
for
joke.
the next 5 years at least. Yeah.
We'll all be 60-year-old men on here like, still haven't won anything. Levy out, yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Gaza, what did you think yesterday?
the phrase in Silver Man is.
He was speechless. He was speechless. That's how much it hit him. Davos, you want to take this one then? Whilst Gaza tries to regain his composure and his thoughts.
I think it's the same story we've been fed every single year at this stage for 4 or 5 years. I think the difference this year is that there's a belief within the fan base already that he's potentially going to leave. And that goes back to the points that Jens has made, that he's obviously made it very clear over the last 4 or 5 years, where he has been at the top of his game, that he wants us to match his ambition. Mourinho was Levy's last throw of the dice, in my opinion, at trying to take us to the level that he believed that we could get to. And that was the way that he thought he could do it. We're at a stage now where we need to have a complete revamp of the squad. So I think that's where it comes into Kane potentially thinking, now's the time for me to go. It's going to be another complete revamp. How long is it going to take? So I think that's where
I said to Bob Spur,
different.
Harry Kane's the elephant in the room, isn't he? I think if it was up to Levy, he'd like to appoint a younger, progressive, manager that's going to build with a younger team over the next sort of 5 or 6 years, like he had with Poch. But he acknowledges that if he does that, then Kane's not going to stick around for another 4, 5, 6 year project, is he? So if he does go that route, he's got to let Harry go, and he's not going to have any value. His value at the highest is going to be this summer, isn't it? 28 years of age, it's going to start going down. So the value to Levy beyond this point is going to start going down. So it's the elephant in the room, isn't it? Does he try and keep Harry happy, or by going for an immediate fixed manager who probably going to have a bit of a job on his hands with the state of some of our squad, or does he go the way he sort of is? He's thinking that he's done previously with success with Pochettino, by getting a younger, hungry manager that's going to get a style of play and bring his own youngsters through and build a team that way.
Do you think we're as far off as that? I'll give you an example. Go back 5 or 6 years now, is it? Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool buying in Virgil van Dijk and a keeper. completely change them?
I was thinking this earlier.
Are we in a similar position? Do we just need that dominant set? Do we need the dominant centre back to sort out our defence? I spoke to you about this the other day with the number of goals we scored this year. We've scored almost 120 goals this year. If we don't concede the goals that we concede, if we have a solid defence and a solid base there, where would we be?
You'd think
far away?
You'd need a dominant centre back. You need a right back, don't you? Because Doherty hasn't stepped up to the plate, and Aurier cost us so many goals. That would stop a lot of the flow of goals, wouldn't it? Aurier and Sanchez and Dyer going. Then you also need someone. It maybe skips the answer to this in midfield. Someone that's going to help Højbjerg out, getting up and down the pitch and tackling and getting stuck in. Then we've never replaced Eriksen, have we? So we probably need a playmaker. Although you could argue that Dele Alli could probably play that role with Lucas Moura, and if we keep Ndombele, we've got 3 really good number 10s there, haven't we? And then Harry and Sonny up front. Depends whether Bale stays, and then that would sort out your right winger, doesn't it? So you might be right there. Maybe three big money players, a decent right back, a centre back, and maybe another midfielder.
If they commit to suddenly say, well, we're going to commit 150 million and go all out to keep Kane, to try to really push forward and say that we're going to have a rethink after all these protests, maybe there's a chance still that we're not too far away, and maybe there's a chance that we can push on. If we sell him, I feel like we're the same club that we have been for the entirety of my life, really. We go back to Teddy Sheringham, Dimitar Berbatovs. We get a good player, and then they have to leave to actually take the next step in their careers. Gareth Bale.
Modric, yeah.
It's the same story.
So this could work in our favour, Harry Kane coming out at this stage of the season, because obviously there's the meeting with the supporters trust today. This is the last home game. There have been the protests and whatnot, and Levy knows there's pressure on him. Also, he's got the season ticket renewals coming up, hasn't he? He hasn't got a manager at the moment. His star player wants to leave. Half the players demonstrably proven aren't really good enough. So is a manager going to want to take the job if he's going to have no Harry Kane, potentially no Sonny, potentially no Ndombele? It's not exactly looking attractive proposition, is it, for a manager to come in? So it could be just a perfect time for it. Might be Harry Kane's people putting pressure on Levy to pull his finger out and appoint a manager and invest this summer. You never know. Positive mental attitude.
We haven't seen anything from Kane, have we? I don't like the silence from him on social media and things like that. I haven't seen much from him in that regard. We definitely haven't seen him come out and state that he wants to leave Tottenham. So far, it has just been, and that message has come out, as I say, for 2, 3, maybe even 4 seasons now, that he should be interested in leaving. Roy Keane's been I think he might actually pay for half of Harry Kane's transfer fee, to be honest with you. All he's done is bleat on about how why he should go to Manchester United, who are nowhere near the peak of their powers. So why he would go there, I have absolutely no idea. There's only one place. I mean, I don't know if you're going to ask this question, but if he does go, do you have preference on where he goes? I know where I would want him to go if he's going to leave. But
that leads me on to my next question. If he does go, where do you think he'll go? It wasn't a question, but Man City, isn't it? Man City's the only place that guarantees him trophies, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Man United, there's no guarantee he's going to get trophies there with Ole. He's still got a bit of a mixed match of a squad, isn't he? We battered them 6-1 when we were on it.
I can't see him going to Chelsea. I don't think he'd want to go there. And if we sold him to Chelsea, then I think Levy would actually be lynched.
Needham's come out of a suggestion, Barcelona, hopefully.
They don't have any money, though, do they?
No, I think they are in a lot of money trouble. That's why they were trying to offload Messi and his wages, weren't they? Because they couldn't really afford it with no money coming in. They're in I think they're about £1 billion in debt or something. There was a rumour today they were interested. Yeah, the former chairman's got them into a lot of debt. Needham also says when Kane leaves, bring in an experienced striker who could be a mentor for Scarlett. Not a bad idea. Hopefully Scarlett's been training with Kane, hasn't he, for the last year now? Yeah. So you think he'd pick up his work ethic.
It doesn't seem as though Troy Parrott has moved on as quickly as we would have liked him to.
No, he only scored one goal. He went to the
there's still
Championship on loan, didn't he? And then he went to Division 1 on loan, and he only scored one goal in Division 1, which is basically a rebound and a tap-in like Højbjerg's goal the other day. He hasn't pulled up any trees at all. Dan Tester's suggesting Danny Ings, which is a name that keeps getting linked to us, isn't it? That was more as a Kane, not a replacement, but someone that could come in and play with Kane or replace him if needs be, wasn't it? But he's coming to the end of his contract apparently at Southampton. So I think Redknapp said on TalkSport yesterday that would be a move that he saw Daniel Levy making, because he's coming to the end of his contract, so he might be able to pick him up quite cheap now. I guess he's going to be 29, 30 though, isn't he? Danny Ings.
Yeah, similar age he is,
Yeah. Also, Needham says Ings is a good shout. Cheers, Needs. Danny also says, can't remember the last striker we've had with pace. I mean, you could argue
Jermaine Defoe?
Sonny, yeah. But he did. Figures with Defoe, he was always offside, wasn't he? So he never got to use his pace. More often than not, he was offside. So abroad, PSG could probably afford him, but I don't see Harry wanting to go there. And I think he wants that Premier League. I think he wants that Premier League record, doesn't he? Unfortunately.
You're having a good old chuckle there.
Postiga.
Someone's put in the comments, Postiga. Yeah, that's another big money sign. And we've had a load of striker flops, haven't we, over the years, going back to Redbroth.
I remember seeing Postiga in a pre-season game at Wickham, and I thought, this boy's going to be the nuts. How wrong I was.
You know what? He was unlucky. He went through on goal. I think we played Arsenal 4th or 5th game into Postiga's when he joined us, and he went through one-on-one with the keeper, tried rounding him, and I think the keeper just about got a touch to it, miscontrolled it as he was about to put it into the net. And I often think if that had gone in, it'd have been away and flying when he 4 or 5 games into his stint and scored against the Scum as well. He'd have maybe his career might have taken a completely different path.
Same for Raziak as well. If that header had gone in against Liverpool,
Big Gregor, yeah. So we've got some names coming through in the comments. Redbroth and Postiga. We've had a lot of big money flops. Big Andy Booth. That comes down to some of the desperado signings we had to make, wasn't it? Levy was. I guess that would have been Levy's time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
They've been with us a long time, John. It is. Yeah,
it is a long time, isn't it?
Do you remember when we sold Berbatov to United, and we strung it out, and then we had no time to buy anyone, so we ended up getting Fraser Campbell on loan, didn't we? Literally on the 23rd hour. And how many games did he play? 5 or 6? 5 or 6
He was
games?
terrible. He was,
Needham saying in the comments to Doc what a legend he was. The Ginger Pele. Ginger Pele. So what are we thinking? Do you think there's any substance behind the rumours, or is it just Sky trying to drive people to their betting site to try and get them spending money?
I think the article was nonsense. I think there's definitely standing behind it, of course, because of all the reasons we've said. Yeah,
I tend to agree with you, but if nothing, it puts leverage on Levy, doesn't it, to pull his finger out of his arse and hire a new manager and spend some money on the squad. That leads us on to our next question for you guys and for the people watching. Does Harry Kane need to break Jimmy Greaves' record to secure legendary status at the Lane? I think he's 46 behind or 44 behind at the moment.
I actually Googled the word legend earlier on today to find out what the actual definition was for you in anticipation of this question. It's an extremely famous or notorious person, especially in a particular field. I think in every regard of that, Harry Kane is a legend. I'll probably go back. I also checked out some other stats. He's also been our top goal scorer for the last 6 seasons and will be 7 this year as well. Just because he hasn't won anything, does that mean that he can't be regarded as a legend? I don't think. I think he's going to be a legend at Spurs. He'll be one of our best strikers. He won't be regarded as the best striker, of course, unless he can overtake Jimmy Greaves.
I always say to people, it's not about trophies. There's a couple of clowns that won the Champions League with Liverpool. You know, that night in Istanbul, you got Biscan and Jimmy Traore and people like that. And are they remembered 20 years later? They're not. But people like Matt Letizia, who won nothing at Southampton, he's still remembered as a top-class footballer because he was just such a good player, and his loyalty is often, people use him like I'm using him now to say to people, you don't need to leave to win the odd League Cup just to make yourself a legend. I mean, that argument that you need to win trophies to, obviously it's nice, but you have your day out, but it's not as cut and dry as that, is it? It's context, isn't it? Winning a trophy with Tottenham is harder than winning a trophy with Man City chucking 100 billion at it or whatever they chuck at it.
Think back to some of the important goals he scored and the London Derby goals as well. I mean, he's the top scorer in London Derbies, isn't he? For top.
And he's been with us since what?
Some of the moments he's given us there.
I think younger than that, Jens.
Was it? Okay.
I'm sure the Arsenal fans will try and poke fun at something when he was 7 years old, but
yeah, well, you know, they've got to pray for something, haven't they, when they've got Boomerang up front. So
got grasping at straws, that lot, aren't they? Worst team ever. Oh, we forgot to mention earlier, if there's any West Ham fans watching, I'm sure there are. The win against Wolves took us back above West Ham. West Ham having their best ever season, aren't they? Champions League football, giving it all large all the time, and then we've gone back above them, having an absolute stinker of a season. Who have they got left in their remaining 2 games? Have you any ideas, Davies?
Brighton and let me have a butcher's.
They should have had it sealed by now, though. The amount of slip-ups we've had.
Absolutely.
Southampton, by the looks of it.
Oh, sorry, West Brom.
Southampton and West Brom.
They should win both of those. Yeah, easy on paper.
Southampton are okay. Yeah.
West Brom away, Southampton at home.
So we've got a couple of harder games than them. So they should still get it, shouldn't they? They should get 5th at least.
You would have thought so, yeah.
Have Liverpool leapfrogged in now after their luck the other day?
Yeah, they're up. Yeah, they're 5th, I think. Yeah.
What happened in that game, Davos? Because I missed it. I was obviously driving back from yours after the Tottenham game. But Gaza said that there's a lot of VAR cheating going on to try and get Liverpool the victory. What happened?
There was a few debatable decisions. Obviously, it culminated in the header from
the keeper scored a header, didn't he? Gaza said there was a goal that was disallowed for someone getting in the keeper's eye line. Was it, in your view?
It was one of those. I think we had one ruled out earlier in the season as well, where another striker stood somewhere near the keeper. Yeah. It was actually the player who was marking the keeper, I believe, or sort of putting pressure on the keeper from the set piece. The keeper gave him a little shove to push him out the way, so he was stood in front of the keeper, probably a yard in front of him. The ball comes across, gets flicked further to the right of the keeper, and then knocked in by a guy who was sort of a yard onside. But due to the player that was obviously stood in front of him for the initial flick on, they gave it as offside. So it was. Should it? We got one given against us for earlier in the season as well. So according to the fantastic referee's handbook currently, it's a disallowed goal, but I don't think it gave an unfair advantage to the attacking side, not in my opinion.
Fair enough. We've talked about them Scouse. Beeps. Enough. Let's move on. So I don't know, did you address that question, Jens? Does Harry Kane need to break Jimmy Greaves' record to secure legendary status at the Lane?
No, I'd say he's got it already. If he moves to Chelsea, then it's gone.
Absolutely.
If he goes anywhere else, if he moves to the Gooners as well, he's gone. If he moves to Accrington Stanley, he's gone.
If you put it in context, he's gone ahead of Bobby Smith and Martin Chivers, and they're both considered legends of the Lane, aren't they? So he's gone above them in the ranks.
It's interesting that you say that he loses it if he goes to Chelsea, given that you also mentioned Jimmy Greaves, who actually did also play for Chelsea, I believe, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. But that was years ago. I wasn't alive then, so I don't care.
he went to West Ham, but that was our choice to sell him to West Ham because we wanted Martin Peters.
Yeah.
So it was our fault. But he was at Chelsea as a youth. But Tottenham were after him as a youngster, but he chose to go to Chelsea. I think he lived nearer there, or it was easier for him to get to. It was some reason like that. And then
I didn't know that. I don't like him anymore.
Yeah, then he went to Chelsea to AC Milan, and then we bought him back for £99,999 because Bill Nicholson didn't want him to be the first £100,000 footballer. He thought that'd be too much pressure on him. There you go, Davos. A bit of history for you there.
Bit of history there for you, said.
Next question. I think we've touched on it briefly, but as I can't be bothered to delete my little thing here, if Kane leaves, who would you realistically like to come in to replace him with?
Who's that for?
You can take it as your mouth's flapping already.
I was hoping you'd say Jens because I don't.
We'll send that one to Jens then. Jens,
that's fine. Well, when you say realistically,
well, I mean, obviously we're not going to get Ronaldo or Messi or Mbappe or you know.
Did you see the stuff that came out on Twitter earlier that apparently we've been in talks with Haaland?
One of the most wanted footballers in world football, and he wants to come and join us in the Europa League.
You could just imagine Levy in a phone box with a hat on and a big coat saying, "Hello, yes, I have some news for you."
Steve Hitchin going, "I think I can talk him round. Send me out there. Send me to Dortmund."
I love that beer. Yeah. I think I'd like to see Ings because he's prolific. Unfortunately, he's got injury problems, but then again, so's Harry. He obviously doesn't score as many. He doesn't. He's not as. I mean, how many assists has Kane got this season? It's absolutely unbelievable. But
16,
yeah. So I'd like to see someone like that. If the problem is if we lose Sonny as well, then that's pretty much all of our goals gone.
That's my next question, Jens. Look, if Kane leaves, can we expect Sonny to stay after the lack of ambition shown by releasing Kane?
Little Birdie told me he's already signed it. They're just not announced a new contract.
There is talk of that, yeah, because of the current climate and there's not a lot of money about mass unemployment and all these businesses going down. I didn't think it would look good to hand him a bumper, improved contract at this time. So there was talk that they were going to wait until things had picked up a bit.
And then he goes and does the ESL thing.
And £60 a ticket for Villa as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
Again, that could be worth it if it's going to be Harry Kane's last home game.
Yeah, but perversely, on the other side of that, he's now going to have 10,000 people in there pissed off at him. And I think even the ones that were sitting on the fence a bit previously, if they've all the Harry Kane news that's come out the last couple of days, it's going to make him go at him. I think 10,000 people calling him a bold you-know-what and get out of my club. Yeah, I know you do. just grow your hair back. It'd be much easier. I don't know why you cultivate this look in the first place if you're going to get abuse all the time. Davos, you've had a bit of time to think about it then. If Kane leaves, who would you realistically like to come in to replace him with?
It's as I say, it's impossible to replace him, isn't it? I think if you sell Harry Kane, it's another case. You probably have to sell multiple people. Maybe it is a case of selling Kane, Sonny, and Ndombele, and then trying to rebuild the squad with younger models. It's going to very much depend on the manager that comes in, who we need to replace him with, and their style of play. We're very much in need of an identity again. If it's a manager that comes in and wants a big striker, then my answer is going to be very different to if it's someone that comes in and likes to play the quick sort of tick-attack football and needs a nippy front man. Danny Ings is the only other striker that's sort of available in the Premier League that's of any sort of comparable level to Harry Kane at the moment. So that's the obvious answer, but it's not something I want to think about, to be honest.
What was the point in building a stadium and the new training facility if we're just going to be like a 7th and 8th, team building all the time? That was supposed to be the game changer, wasn't it? It's going to
NFL.
take our finances to the
When are we
next level.
When are we going to sell these naming rights? I keep hearing that we're on the verge of selling the naming rights for the stadium. That's got to be, if that happens this year, that's 200-300 million, isn't it? Surely that can go into the transfer kitty.
Yeah,
and then can we do something?
The Super Spurs score field sponsored by AT&T, probably.
Yeah, well, some people have suggested that, haven't they? That COVID might have scuppered his plans. That they had a big sponsor coming in. They had Mourinho as the manager. They'd signed Kane to the new long-term deal, and that the new people were going to come in and name the stadium. You know, if it was Amazon or one of these big companies, but it's all been put on hold because of the pandemic. I don't think it would have been for Amazon, would it? Because I think they've made record profits because of the pandemic. But an American company that's getting a bit, hesitant to commit to it because of the situation, maybe the naming rights are all linked into the takeover and stuff like that. You never know what's going on in the background there, smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
But it's mad, isn't it? Like, can you think of any other stadium in the world or any other club in the world that haven't named? They haven't got a name for their stadium. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, granted, we were all moaning about it in the first place, saying, "Well, we're not going to call it that anyway. It's going to be White Hart Lane to us."
White Hart Lane, yeah.
No, I guess his idea was all this exposure we're getting with the American market and the NFL and all these concerts, that it was called Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that the name of the club would gain the exposure to the American market. I guess that's his thinking behind it. But I don't want to second guess that guy's thinking. Davos, I asked Jens about this one. If Kane leaves, can we expect Sonny to stay after the lack of ambition shown?
Well, it makes him number one man, doesn't it?
Yeah,
makes
him, maybe.
Makes him the main man. Makes him our star player. If that's of interest to him, I think we need. If Kane leaves, then we need Sonny to stay. Really.
Yeah.
You can't lose. Look at the goals they've scored this year. I think Kane's obviously Kane's top Premier League goal scorer. Sonny is third or fourth in the list. They've got probably 50 goals plus between them this year. You can't afford to lose 50 goals. No team could afford to lose 50 goals. Manchester City couldn't afford that. So if Kane leaves, we have to expect Sonny to stay. We have to do whatever we can. Levy will have to offer him £300,000 a week to stay if he's going to sell Harry Kane.
It's a similar situation that the Goons were in, wasn't it? When they had two people had them over a barrel, didn't they? Ozil and who left in the end? Someone went to Liverpool, didn't they? And he couldn't give them the money to both, could he? So one of them ended up starting. Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, Sanchez left, didn't he? So Ozil ended up starting, and they got so desperate they thought, we can't lose both of them. That Ozil had them over a barrel, didn't he? Got that money and then stopped trying.
Did nothing.
I don't think Sonny's Ozil though.
Apart from against us.
Yeah. Your eyes are offside. Your eyes are offside. Mesut Ozil. Your eyes are offside. Right. Next question. The management hunt. I haven't seen anything new over the last couple of days. Yesterday we were linked with. Funnily enough, after you did your Dutch football special the other day, Ten Hag again, Jens. There was a load more talk, and in the bookmakers had pushed him right back up the list again. Have you heard anything over there?
I haven't heard anything over here, but it's what it was. He didn't sign a new contract. He had an extension clause in his contract, which the club activated. Yeah. So that's very possible that they activated that because they want more compensation. Yeah. I would still say that it's quite possible that he's in the hunt. My in-laws would probably kill me if he goes because they still haven't got over Vertonghen and Eriksen. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the running still. And I think that he's not the best known manager, but he's a big enough name. I think he'll be received better by the supporters than someone like Potter or Parker.
Just looking at Paddy Power now, they've got Simone Inzaghi's favourite still. I don't know where that's come from. Graham Potter's second favourite, and Scott Parker's now moved up 14-1. Scott Parker, Graham Potter 6-1. Brendan Rodgers is 17-2. It's the same old names.
Well, I got a different name here. It's probably not one.
Why is Rodgers going to come?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he's not going to leave Leeds, Leicester, is he?
No, of course not.
Champions League next year. It's looking like as well, just winning trophies. He gets on well with the chairman and the investment.
Well, they beat Chelsea tonight because
did they won again?
Oh no, if they beat Chelsea tonight,
if they beat Chelsea.
I think United drew or lost. They drew with Fulham 1-1. So yeah, if they beat Chelsea tonight, they go 2 points behind United.
Blimey.
And then if Chelsea lose tonight, we could still catch him. Come on, kick the fight, fellas.
Has he got a bit of a? If you look at Jamie Vardy though, how old is he going to be next season? He's going to be on his way out, and he's a big part of their success, isn't he? So maybe you never know. Rodgers might be thinking, right, Vardy's going to be leaving there. Is the rest of the team good enough to step up as he drifts off? I'm sure he's got another year in him, maybe Vardy, but he might stick around for the Champions League run, maybe. Dovers, who's it? Go on, Jens.
If you look at what Rodgers said when he left Celtic, I think it was he left Celtic to go to Liverpool or to go to Leicester? It was to go to Leicester, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he a week before he said, "I'm not going anywhere." And
did he?
Then he left.
I'm not going anywhere.
He's. I don't think he's the most reliable person, and I think if you speak to a lot of Watford fans, especially my mate Steve, he can't stand the bloke. He thought he completely and utterly shat on them from a height when he left them. So I don't think he's that loyal to anything apart from Brenton and his teeth.
Funnily enough, I heard from Steve yesterday, Jens. He said he's involved with Amersham Town now. I don't know if it's on the youth level or helping run the first team, but they're trying to find a friendly for this weekend. But we've actually got a free week, and my lads are falling apart with muscle injuries and knocks and stuff. So
I'm not surprised.
They've been playing like Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday for like since we came out of lockdown. So they need a well earned rest. Dovers, you're going to hit us with a left field name, are you?
I'm not sure if it's left field, but I haven't heard it myself. Max Allegri. Do you remember him? Juventus manager for a long time.
He's unemployed, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, he's unemployed.
Unemployed, apparently led Juventus to 11 trophies, 2 Champions League finals. The caveat is he's apparently he's a very defensive manager, a pragmatic manager.
Very similar to Mourinho.
The other ones
would have been done by now, Dovers, wouldn't you, if he is available and out there? So that's the other thing. Go on, who's your other one?
The other one we've probably spoken about, Steven Gerrard.
I can't think you're going to. I suppose Rodgers did all right, didn't he, coming down from Scotland? I know he's impressed a lot of people, hasn't he, Gerrard? Because when he went up there, everyone poo-pooed him, didn't they? Said he's not going to make any dent into Celtic's dominance. You know, he's too inexperienced and whatnot. And he's done a great job
undefeated, plus 80 goal difference or something ridiculous.
I think he's emotionally tied to them. Though. He said in the papers earlier this week that Rangers gets into your blood and blah blah blah. So he's giving it all the positive affirmation quotes.
Also, I think if we got him as manager, we'd just be waiting until the next time Liverpool sack their manager or lose their manager, and then if they offer him the job, he's going, isn't he?
Merry-go-round, isn't it? Yeah. You might be right, to be honest.
I don't know, but that would be my feeling. I'm not sure. I know that Rangers have done amazingly, but is it that Celtic have done really badly, or?
Well, look what's happened. What's changed for them apart from losing Brendan Rodgers? Not a lot has changed. I think to go undefeated in any league anywhere is a pretty special feat. So
apart from when Arsenal did it,
of course.
Yeah. Apart from when they were lucky the whole way through, weren't they? I mean, they draw about 55 games or something?
Yeah. Chelsea got more points than them the next season when they won the league the year after, and they scored more goals than them. Yeah, this isn't the Chelsea podcast. So if you had a cheeky pound, then Dovers, who's your pound on?
I think we'll end up with the person that I really don't want. I think we'll end up with that Potter, Graham Potter. That's the least. If you could give me a list of everyone on the that we've got so far, Graham Potter would be bottom of it. But
why? Just because he's English? There's a certain snobbery, isn't there?
There's nothing exciting. I don't know. I just don't get excited about it whatsoever. I just feel like it's.
Don't you think Brighton play great football?
They play a nice attacking football, yeah.
From where they were under Chris Hughton, they sacked him because they wanted to play better football, didn't they? And he came in and he's got them knocking the ball around beautifully. So that's that's an impact from the manager, isn't it? A coaching and management impact. So
it gets the enjoyment back. I guess it's a potential to get the enjoyment back into the game for Tottenham fans, but I don't know whether. I still got this feeling that we need somebody to get us over the line with a trophy.
But if Mourinho couldn't do it, who are we left with?
You say if Mourinho couldn't do it, Mourinho might well have done it had we not sacked him the day before the cup final. Whether, obviously, the League Cup, whether that's something we particularly want is to be debated. But
he likes to win the League Cup, doesn't he? To get that winning mentality, to start that winning mentality.
I don't think Potter. I'm not sure how he is with defences. And obviously, these teams play lovely attacking football. But what would you say? Because you say that you put Potter at the bottom of your list. What would you say if someone mentioned Eddie Howe? Would he go below or would he go above Potter?
Above, I would say. I don't mind the idea of Eddie Howe. But it's a similar manager. It's a similar manager, really, isn't it?
He's got relegation on his CV there, hasn't he? He took Bournemouth down.
Yeah.
Potter hasn't. He's kept Brighton up, hasn't he? Everyone hits him with a stick that they were 16th when he took over, and they're still 16th or whatever. But he's kept them up. Can they go down this year, Dabbers? You're our stats man there. Can Brighton go down, or are they safe now?
No, they're safe.
All three have gone down, haven't they already?
Yeah.
I've got
Bielsa obviously would be awesome, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Talking of managers, I got a message a couple of weeks ago from Mark Hull. I don't know if you remember him. He used to live in Little Chalfont. Lives up in Newcastle now. Used to drink in the White Line and the Boot. But he said, regarding the new manager with a suggestion of Potter and Howe, they've done good jobs at their respective clubs on a limited budget, as there's no real expectation for them to finish top 6 or top 10. Only pressure on them is to stay in the division as long as possible. This, I believe, allows the players to play with a bit more freedom and expression, actually entertain without the weight of having to push for Champions League Europe. Throw Potter and Howe into a media spotlight of a massive club with a decent budget, and I believe their free-flowing style then may become called into question. Pochettino done well by building on it gradually at the start and gain the trust of the players. Will Potter or Howe be able to harness the trust from the senior players who seem to have more say and power than the manager, or attract the top players Levy is ready to splash out on?
Problem also with Potter is, if you think look at Wolves last year, Espirito Santos got them playing beautiful football, didn't he? And this year he just hasn't kicked on at all. He lost a couple of big players, granted, didn't he? The guy went to Liverpool and he's lost Jimenez with the head injury, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Traore, I don't know what's happened to Traore. He's fallen off the back of a cliff, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah. But he was never that consistent, was he? I don't think.
No, he was getting there.
Yeah.
Davos is our resident expert on Traore. You love him, don't you?
I do like Traore, yeah.
Why do you think he struggled to live up to expectation this year?
Traore?
Yeah.
He's always been a bit like that, isn't he? Inconsistent. I think the main reason is just probably due to the injury to Jimenez. Jimenez is obviously losing the striker. One, loses him the opportunity to assist that striker where he can bust down the line, play his crosses, play those dangerous crosses in for Jimenez to get on the end of. And two, obviously he's creating a lot of space and occupying defenders that are no longer occupied. I think that's probably the main reasons, to be honest.
As we touched on earlier, probably a right wing is what we need if we don't keep Bale. So do you think Traore is one that we might look at to bring in if we've got a young coach building for the future?
Someone I'd like us to look at, but I don't think it's someone that will target. I think he would cost. I think he's someone that would be Probably because of his image in the media and everything, and how sort of high profile I guess he's seen to be. I don't think we'd get him on the cheap, so I don't think it's someone
No.
that Levy would commit to.
English to English. Jens, any right wingers you can recommend from your Dutch and Danish football networks?
That Skol Olesen fella I was talking about, I still think he's going to be pretty special.
Yeah. Does he play off the right?
Dutch,
Does he?
I think he's right and left.
Mm.
I'd need to double check. I've seen him play a few games. I wouldn't say I'm an expert.
Speaking of,
looked very lively.
Speaking of right wingers, from Ryan Mason's comments in the press conference today, it doesn't sound overly optimistic that Bale's going to stay, does it? He was saying that he wanted to get him a chance to play in front of the Spurs fans again. It looks like he's going to miss that chance. That doesn't sound like the speech and body language of someone they're going to keep next year, does it?
Yeah.
They have only got a 1 year deal, so as far as he's concerned, right now that is the last game that he'll play for Tottenham. I think they have to talk that way.
Was he injured? I don't remember him going off over the weekend.
Knackered, I think. Knackered.
Did he get injured?
Yeah.
Was he not playing tomorrow? He must be injured of some level. I thought it was Ben Davies that was injured.
Yeah, I think that he said that from the way that I read it, I thought he meant that he didn't think that he was fit enough.
2 games in
necessarily injured,
3
but
days.
2 games in 3 days. Maybe he'll come on in the second half.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure Bale has his own demands as well. I bet he won't want to be playing when he's at a high risk of injury right before the Euros.
Yeah.
Harry Redknapp always said about him, didn't he, that he used to go down in training all the time and call the trainers over, and then after a while, Harry had to say, "Just leave him there. He's got to get up and get on with it."
If he's in that high danger zone or whatever it is that they call it on the monitors, I'm sure he'll be the first one to say, "Nah, give me a rest, give me a break. We've got 2 more games, then I'm going to the Euros."
I think Ryan Mason must have a cheeky tenner on Wales winning the Euros because he's resting Joe Rodon as well, and now he's resting Gareth Bale. He just wants him fresh for the Euros. Maybe he's got some Welsh blood in him. Right, so our last question of the night, obviously we just touched on it there. Whoops, let's just click the next one. It's on the ticker on the bottom there, actually. Let me just turn that off. 2 seconds, boys. Let's turn the ticker off so it stays on our screen.
Good Lord.
Villa tomorrow.
Moussa Sissoko has been selected for the 26 for the French team for the Euros.
And there's talk that Ndombele wouldn't they? They said Sissoko in, but Ndombele might not make it. Good God.
Wow. Yeah.
What a decision.
Sorry, I just saw that pop up on Twitter. My apologies.
No, mate, we're here to provide instant news, aren't we? So at least their ticker's working. My diggy dicker is not working. My diggy dicker. Davos doesn't know what that means. There was some hello, Davos. That's probably from before your time as well. Okay. And finally, Villa tomorrow, 6:00, as we know, £60 a ticket. What are your predictions for the lineup then? It doesn't sound like Bale's plan. So who do you think is going to play off the right there?
I think it'd be the exact same team that played the other day, barring Bale, for a straight swap for Lucas Moura. Probably, I wouldn't have thought it's going to be much different to that. We played a pretty good game. Unless I think Jens mentioned earlier that the god that is Serge Aurier, who seems to get in every single time he's fit. If he was unfit the other day, perhaps he'll go straight back in again if he is fit. But I hope
Grealish back because
he played half an hour. He played half an hour in their most recent, or 20 minutes in their most recent game. Okay. So he didn't look at his fittest, but maybe that was with an eye to get. I'm sure that was probably with an eye to get a few matches in before the Euros, so that he can.
Well, I know who I'd feel safer playing up against Jack Grealish on that left-hand side, and it's definitely Tanganga, isn't it? If he could rip Aurier a new arsehole, wouldn't he?
I think that would make it Lucas Moura and Tanganga on that right-hand side would probably be the safest option that we can have. Really.
He might put Lo Celso out to the right there and bring in Ndombele into the midfield. That's another option open to him. A lot of managers have liked Lo Celso coming off that right-hand side, haven't they, onto his left foot. He's played there a few times. If he wants to squeeze Ndombele in, that could be an option open to him. I can't see him putting Stevie Bergwijn straight in. He hasn't really had much of a sniff, has he?
No. Which I think is a shame. I think there's definitely a player in there. I don't know what happened. I think possibly the racist abuse or the abuse that he got on Instagram
after the miss,
it was. Yeah. And then I think didn't Jose come out and have a pop at him as well? Maybe he's just not. Yeah, I can understand that amount of abuse that he was getting after the miss. That's not nice. But you got to be strong enough to take your manager's criticism.
Yeah.
Unless if you can't take that, then you need to. Yeah,
they say that's
going to be your game.
They say that's a mark of the top professionals, isn't it? And that, quite often that's the reason that they're professionals, and some players drift away from the game, that they can actually take criticism and they're strong mentally to take those kind of fan criticisms and manager criticisms. But he's got, like you say, he's got to be stronger than that, hasn't he? I mean, it was a sliding doors moment, wasn't it? He had those 2 chances against Liverpool. If one of those goes in, his finishing was always really good, wasn't it? The first 6 months he joined us. I said
it was lovely.
I said to Davers that he can finish his dinner. That boy, his finishing was one of his strongest assets when he first came, and then he's got no goals this year. Like even the Liverpool keeper's got one more goal than him now, hasn't he?
He started working a lot harder, looked a lot quicker, and then suddenly he couldn't finish, could he? It was
he looked like he was carrying around Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's arse, didn't he, for the first 6 months?
Yeah, but he was using that arse to propel the ball into the net, and then he lost it. And
Eddie Murphy, he's just a fat Eddie Murphy.
He loved a goal against us, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
He always says it when they have him on Sky now. Jens, I scored against Tottenham. We're like, There's one game.
He have to play against Spurs.
He didn't even run, did he? It's just a shoot from like wherever he was, and he used to go in past Ian Walker or whoever.
Casey Keller.
Yeah, he liked to go against us, didn't he? Jens, your team predictions then? Is it Eric Dyer again after the clean sheet? Surely, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I don't think he'll change much. Again, it could be just the smoke screen that Bale's not fit enough. I don't know. But if to be honest, I don't think that Moura or Lo Celso look particularly good on the right hand side.
No.
So I'm not really
Others
sure.
Boy Aurier might get bumped up to right midfield. You never know. People play Tanganga and Aurier on that right hand side there.
Oh Jesus!
Sissoko, fresh from his France. Fresh from his France call up. He plays right midfield, doesn't he? Occasionally.
Yeah.
Allegedly, that's his favoured position, isn't it?
Oh really?
Yeah, that's where he played at Newcastle, right midfield, bombing on winger. You're being very coy about the. We'll come into the score predictions now, because you actually got the prediction right last time, Jens, didn't you? 2-0. I watched back the previous show earlier to see what the predictions were. I think did Gaza go 3-1? 3-1, I think, and you went 2-0, didn't you? You nearly got the scores right as well. Harry Kane.
Rez went 3-1 and Gaza went 2-1, I think.
2-1, yeah.
Oh no, Gaza went 1-0, didn't he? He thought it'd be
did he? Yeah, and you did say Harry Kane with the first one, and then a left field goal scorer for the second one. You could have gone even further left, couldn't you, with Højbjerg? But I think who'd you go? Toby, didn't you?
I went Alderweireld, yeah.
Davers, did you do one in the green rim or not?
No, I didn't.
You're going to say 2-0, aren't you?
That's
no,
it. Yeah.
No one can prove. I was shouting at the screen. 2-0.
I said on the podcast before that I was on that I thought we were going to win comfortably all the way through till the Leicester match. Obviously, that went wrong. So I'd have probably said 2 or 3-0. Yeah. It obviously went wrong at Leeds, but I'd have said 2 or 3-0.
Which leads me nicely on to tomorrow's game then. Your score and your scorers. Score prediction and goal scorers, please. Jens, first of all, what do you think the score is going to be tomorrow?
2-1.
To us?
Yes, to us, yeah. And I will say Kane and Sonny. and I have no clue for Villa.
Or care.
All
Dallas?
right, mate, all right.
I'm going to go with a bit of a more unlikely one. 4-2. I think Kane's going to be incredibly desperate. I think he's going to be desperate to get on the goal on the scoring charts to get the golden boot. Obviously, Salah caught him up the other day with his goal as well. So I'd say 4-2. Kane with a hat trick and one for one of the centre backs, probably Toby with a header.
Kane in potentially his last home game as well, in front of the Tottenham faithful if he does leave. So he'll want to go out on a high.
Did we beat him 5-1 when Andy Reid scored for us?
He's going back.
Yeah. And I remember that song, Is This the Way to Hammerville? I'm not going to sing the rest of it because it's quite rude. But
as long as it's not
trying
to get us taken off of the air, you're okay. You never know. It might be in my book next week or Thursday. Let me just have a little quick preview. What we got? It's the 18th, isn't it? So I'll let you know if it's a good one or not. Saturday, the 20th of May, 1961. Clive Allen is born. Oh, there you go.
What about him as a manager?
Legend. He was my first ever hero at Tottenham. I still got the shirt over there. I was just saying to my auntie the other day, I might get him to. I'm going to try and get Clive Allen to sign it. So my first shirt when I was like 6 or 7, I was going to get him to sign it and then get it framed. No, it's my mum I was saying it to. She's like, "Well, how are you going to bump into Clive Allen?" I was like, social media, try and tap him up on social media. So I guess has Gaza texted in his match prediction to anyone, or is he in the comments?
Well,
I suppose we'll have a little look there. Just have a quick look to cover all the bases. No, he hasn't. Gaza, if you've got any predictions, it's too late, I'm afraid. You're going to have to pretend that you guess the right score after the game tomorrow. So we'll be back on Thursday night. Obviously, this was only a bonus one, so we could clear the Wolves game from our heads, but we've covered quite a lot of bases and stuff that I'm sure there's never a dull day in Tottenham, is there? So I'm sure tomorrow and Thursday, before we come back, there'll be 101 more things to talk about. And the revelations from the Trust's meeting will come out, and obviously we've got the Villa game itself and the updates on Harry Kane and so there's plenty to talk about on Thursday. So if you could like and subscribe to the channel, those watching, there's quite a few watching I can see from my backstage area here. Support the channel, like and subscribe and share to your friends. If there's any Spurs fans that you know out there you think might like the content, just people like being down the pub and talking nonsense about Tottenham. Who doesn't like nonsense and who doesn't like Tottenham? Normally in the same sentence.
we might even be able to get down the pub again soon, no?
Yes, actually,
maybe not so much Jens, but
I'm sure Jens
fancies a trip across the pond.
I'll find a way.
I'm sure he'd prefer a trip over the car park to the Whitey. Right, with that, on that note, alcohol, nonsense, and Tottenham, the perfect blend to leave you with tonight. Go and have a drink, think about Tottenham, and think nonsense. We'll see you on Thursday on Shelfside Spurs. See you later, my dicky dicker.